Hello, Dr. Mindy here, and on this video, we're gonna talk about why you gain weight after 40, specifically if you're a woman. And it is all built around one powerful neurochemical in our body called estrogen. So many of us start to gain weight after 40, and what do? We turn on ourselves. We think it's our fault. Or we're like, wait a second, I must not be working out enough, so I need to work out twice as much. Or we say, okay, well, I'm never going to eat. And so then we start restricting food in all kinds of crazy ways. And what I want you to know on this video is that I don't want to say it's normal, because I don't want to normalize weight gain during 40s, but it is common that you would gain weight after 40 because of the loss of estrogen. Now, something really important for those of you who've been beating your head against the wall, shaming yourself, guilting yourself, working out harder, dieting more, I want you to know that close to 60 to 70% of women will gain weight as they go through the perimenopause and menopause experience. In fact, on average, 1.5 pounds per year is what a woman will gain starting at 40 as she goes through the menopausal transition. And the menopausal transition is from when you had hormones that were strong enough to keep your reproductive cycle fertile to a woman in her 50s, or even some of you are going into menopause earlier who are no longer cycling. That, whatever that transition time, it's all a little different for us. Every single individual, as those levels of estrogen start to go down, your weight starts to go up. It really sucks, right? So let's talk about why estrogen is so powerful for your metabolism. And most importantly, I want to talk about what you can do about it, because you're not a victim to this situation. So I want to make sure that I give you some really practical ideas to lose menopause weight immediately. So first, there was a Hallmark study, 2022 study, that was titled "The Importance of Estradiol for Body Regulation in Women." And this Hallmark study was really powerful because what they found was that estrogen was really important to your metabolism because of three major factors. First, estrogen increases your basal metabolic rate. So I don't know about you, but like for years in my practice, I would have women come in and they're like, I think my metabolism is low. How many, put it in the comments, how many of you have like walked around and you're like, oh, my metabolism's low, my metabolism's low, but we don't really know what that means. Well, your metabolism is stimulated by these hormones. So when a powerful hormone like estrogen goes away, all of a sudden that increase, or that metabolic rate means how much energy your body is burning every single day, that baseline starts to go down. And you're not burning as much energy as you used to. Again, it sucks, right? But I'm going to show you how you can bring it back. Okay, the second thing that estrogen did for you in your younger years was appetite suppression. It made it so you weren't as hungry. Now, how many of us, when we go screaming into our 40s, especially in that initial transition, are just famished all the time and we don't understand why? Well, it turns out that estrogen makes your hypothalamus, the hypothalamus is the part of the brain that controls hunger, more sensitive to satiety hormones, meaning that estrogen facilitated the understanding of the hypothalamus that it's full. Without estrogen, you don't feel full. Let's just call it what it is. So you keep eating and eating and eating. Okay, let's make that stop too. So we're going to talk about this here in a moment. Third thing, and this is one of my favorite, and I brought it to you guys in so many different ways, but I really want you to get this because there's so many things you can do to change this third thing. Estrogen caused browning of body fat. Now, this is really important because it sounds very clinical and scary, but it's actually really helpful when our fat browns. So you have white fat and you have brown fat. Hard fat, like visceral fat, like men with the pot belly, when you like poke on their belly and it's all hard, that's white fat. White fat is very difficult to burn. White fat also goes around your organs and damages your organs. It's that visceral fat. So when estrogen was around, what estrogen did, another amazing part of estrogen, is that she converted this very stubborn white fat into brown fat. And brown fat is brown because it has more mitochondria in it. And the more mitochondria the fat has in it, the higher its metabolic rate. So if estrogen helped you go from white fat to brown fat, and now she's like, peace out, I'm done, my job here is done, I've released all the eggs I want to release, and you have a lot of white fat, how are you going to transition that into brown fat? I'm going to show you how you can do that. Because if you can move your fat into a different type of fat, you're going to notice that your daily behaviors and movements and simple things you do are going to get you a better weight loss result. So, I want to tell you one other interesting thing that I am just obsessed on right now, which is that estrogen also regulated your dopamine system. And this was a big, by the way, new book out, this is a big part of Age Like a Girl, is all these different things that estrogen stimulated, and one of them was dopamine. And dopamine is what makes you want to pursue your goals. It gives you a sense of pleasure, satisfaction, and it helps you get motivated to achieve those goals. But when estrogen goes down, so does dopamine. This is because beyond happiness. This is like, you look at the scale, you look in the mirror, and you're like, yeah, I got to go to the gym. Yep, I guess I got to diet. You go back to all your old tricks. We're not going to leave you in those old tricks. I'm giving you new tricks today. And your motivation to do the same thing over and over again goes down. And eventually, put it in the comments if this is you become complacent. You're like, okay, I guess I'm okay this weight. And I'm not here to make anybody a specific size. I'm here to help you love living in your body. I also want to make sure that your blood work is always in normal levels. And one of the things we know is that a lot of health challenges start when this dopamine piece goes down along with estrogen. And what's really interesting is there was a 2022 study in the Journal of Public Health, and it was titled "The Effects of Menopause on Physical Activity and Dopamine Signaling in Women." And it found that as estrogen and dopamine fell, listen to this, women exercised less and reported lower levels of motivation. But increasing estrogen, we're going to talk about how you do that in a moment. We'll talk about our HRT, led to more dopamine activity, which helps them exercise more. So we've got this lack of moving fat from white fat to brown fat. We've got your appetite going up, and we've got your metabolic rate going down. Can you see why 60 to 70% of women going through this experience gain weight? So what do we do about it? This is the fun part. Now you know it, okay? And here's the deal we got to make with each other, okay? Now that you know your weight gain after 40 could largely be contributed to the loss of estrogen, you cannot go to that mirror and shame yourself and guilt yourself and tell yourself bad things. Deal? Because there is something dramatically happening on a hormonal level in your body after 40. And a large part of this is normal. It is common. So if we know a major hormone is going down after 40, then we need to work on bringing in some lifestyle tools that are going to help the dopamine, that are going to help your hunger, that are going to change the white fat into brown fat, that are going to increase your metabolic rate. I've got some suggestions for you. Guess what? Age Like a Girl, my new book. It's ready for pre-orders. And this is the most personal book I have ever written. And I'm so excited to bring it to you. If you are looking to reinvent yourself through the menopause process, or maybe you're on the other side and you're still looking for that reinvention, I'm going to show you exactly why menopause works in your favor and how you can make it your greatest moment yet. Age like a girl. The first thing is, are you eating enough phytoestrogens every day? So I don't know where we got in our culture into this place where we're like, oh, I'm never eating soy again. But soy is so important to bring into your diet after 40. In fact, it's so important. Those of you that have Eat Like a Girl, the cookbook that I wrote for you, I have a plant-based chef do a bunch of soy recipes in here. So if you haven't gotten that book, go check that book out. But phytoestrogens are found to speed up your metabolism. There was a 2020 study that said that women who eat soy burn more calories throughout the day. And I've done several videos on this one. There was a meta-analysis that found that eating at least 30 grams of phyto-rich estrogen helped women lose weight. So our first thing is, let's bring soy in. So let me know if you're adding soy. We can all be accountable to each other. So tell me, no, yes, put it in the comments. And a lot of you might be like, well, I don't really love soy. Where am I going to find soy? So my favorite soy-rich, phytoestrogen rich foods, obviously, I like edamame. Soy, that's like just, you know, you get it at a sushi restaurant, but I'll go buy it and bring it into my house. I like tofu. I like tempeh. Those are all rich in soy. Miso. But if you're not a soy person, you can look at sesame seeds, flax seeds, even broccoli and lentils have phytoestrogens in them. So we want to be adding back in many of these phytoestrogen-rich foods. Okay, second thing I want you to be eating is more omega-3s and foods packed with tyrosine. Now, this is really interesting because there was a 2019 review that found that eating more omega-3s increased people's dopamine levels. Yay! So now we're motivated to go work out. It also alleviated dopamine-related problems like depression and ADHD. How many people have that? So we want to bring your omega-3 level up. So how do we do that? Well, the best sources of omega-3, my favorite, is wild-caught salmon. And I mean wild-caught. You want to get it not farm fresh. And the reason you don't want it farm fresh is it doesn't have as much omega-3s in it. But we've also got other fish, mackerel, and anchovies, sardines, herring. Any fans? I know those may not seem like the most yummy foods, but oh, I gotta tell you, in Eat Like a Girl, I just thought of this right now. There is an incredible sardine tostada recipe I highly recommend. It's like bathed in hemp seeds. So good. So if you're not a sardine lover, try that. But you want to really think about these omega-3 rich foods, and most of them are fish-based. Grass-fed steak, grass-fed dairy also has a lot of omega-3s in it. If that's not accessible to you, then a good omega-3 supplement can be really helpful. But I always like to give you the food source first. Now, the other food group that you can eat, and we talked about that, I just said it about 2 minutes ago, is tyrosine, or foods rich in tyrosine. We'll talk about that in a minute. It's an amino acid that is a major building block for dopamine. Your brain needs dopamine to stay motivated, and when estrogen left, she took dopamine with her. In Age Like a Girl, I call it the girl gang. Estrogen's got a gang of molecules that she just takes with her when she exits. So what's interesting about tyrosine and dopamine is that there was a 2015 study found that if you increase tyrosine intake, it boosted both dopamine levels and cognitive performance. So you can get motivated, start losing weight, and power up your cognition. And the good news is that it's really, really easy to get tyrosine, and it's in most protein sources, including meat, fish, and soy. So there's some crossover here. Did you catch that? So you could be eating your fish, you could have your fish and your edamame, and now we're getting phytoestrogens, we're getting omega-3, and we're getting tyrosine. You want to aim for 100 milligrams of protein a day to boost your tyrosine. This is specifically to boost tyrosine levels and help support natural dopamine production. So Now we've got 2 food solutions that you can do. The third one that I have to bring up, because this is my favorite topic and is why many of you come to my social media, is fasting. And I have been talking about fasting for weight loss for over a decade. And I, to this day, will go to my grave telling you over and over again, fasting is your ticket out of metabolic stuckness. Let's just put it that way. Metabolic syndrome, metabolic dysfunction. Fasting and learning how to be able to create these fasting windows every single day. If this is new to you, go check out my book, Fast Like a Girl. I wrote all about fasting for women in there. But why I want to make sure that we point this out in this video is that fasting does a few things. Are you ready? First, it changes white fat into brown fat. Okay, what else did that? Estrogen. Well, fasting does the same thing. It will change that stubborn white fat and move it into brown fat so you can burn it more easily. Okay, second thing fasting does. What do you think I'm going to say? It suppresses your appetite. Now, if you haven't fasted before, you might be like, what? What are you talking about? There's no way that can suppress my appetite going without food. But if you're an expert faster, you've been fasting for a while, put in the comments, how often do you see your appetite go down? And something new, hanging those of you that have been around for a while, sit with me for a moment while I help everybody understand this. So you have 2 metabolic systems, one that you activate when you eat and one that you activate when you fast. And the goal of keeping your metabolic system in good shape is to be able to move in and out of both of these. So what we know is that when you move into this second metabolism, I call it the fat burning system, is that in a fasted state, what will happen is your body will make something called a ketone. And a ketone will go up into the brain and it will kill hunger. Okay, what else killed hunger? Estrogen. Okay, now we have fasting as a tool. So we can turn fat into brown fat. We can suppress hunger. What about the basal metabolic rate? Well, what we know when we fast is that one of the reasons you increase your basal metabolic rate is because you are metabolically switching. So this is why so many people, once they start fasting, they keep losing weight. They stay the weight. That was the most common thing I got when I first started teaching the world about fasting. People were like, is it going to stay off? Yeah. Put it in the comments if it stays off, because this metabolic switch, when you learn to go from eating food to fasting for longer periods of time, and when I say longer, I mean anything between 13 and 15 hours is good, and you start to go back and forth between these two, what ends up happening is you keep your basal metabolic rate high. So in the absence of estrogen, as estrogen is making her exit, we can use fasting to be able to replace many of the symptoms of metabolic dysfunction that you are experiencing. Then if you add in more phytoestrogen foods and you add in more omega-3 foods and you add in more tyrosine foods, now we have helped to complete your whole metabolic system. So one of the things that I wanted to do between Fast Like a Girl and Age Like a Girl, I wanted to give you the control back, because what I'm hearing from a lot of women is they go into their 40s and they just feel like, I'm gaining weight, I can't think, I can't sleep, I'm mad at everybody. Yeah, it's a major neurochemical shift, which is why you need a major lifestyle change to be able to shift with it. Now, what about HRT? I told you I'd talk about that. So for starters, I always want to say that HRT is a personal decision and one that should be chatted with your doctor. Whatever doctor you go to, your OB, whoever would put you on HRT, let's have a conversation to see if it's right for you. What my experience has been in watching hundreds of thousands of women navigate this menopausal experience here on my channels and in our community is that it's not one size fits all. And sometimes you go on HRT and you gain weight. And sometimes you go on HRT and you feel worse. And sometimes you go on HRT and you feel nothing. So it's always important to remember that we're pairing our HRT with these lifestyle changes. If it's working for you, if you want to do HRT, if your doctor feels like HRT is great, awesome. That's a relationship between you and your doctor. But I can't emphasize enough that you've got to bring in these other lifestyle tools if you want to smoothly ride this menopausal experience. And I'll tell you what I told my Reset Academy members yesterday is that the whole point of everything I'm educating people on with menopause is you are not a victim to it. You're not sitting back. It's not happening to you. It's a natural process that is happening to all women that eventually get over 40. And so you have control over it by using your lifestyle. It doesn't mean you just need to get on antidepressants and HRT and Ozempic and start heading down the medical pharmaceutical path. You can also, or you can do instead, depending on what your value system is, you can move to these lifestyle changes. And that is at the core of every book I've written, is trying to give you the lifestyle tools to be able to succeed at your health after 40. So let me know if that was helpful. Let me know if you've ordered Age Like a Girl. Again, super excited that the book is coming out very, very soon. It's ready for pre-orders. I have a whole chapter on this exact topic. And most of all, and most important to me, is I really want you to start believing in yourself. I really want you to see how powerful your body is. And when we go through menopause, this is not our moment to fade off into the sunset. This is a reinvention moment. This is a moment in which you are going to get stronger. So let's figure out how to personalize that experience for you. So there you go. Let me know if that helps. And as always, I'm cheering you on. I know you're struggling to lose weight. It may be your fasting length. So in this video, I'm going to show you the perfect fasting length to unstick weight loss. In fact, it's such an incredible tool for weight loss. I think you should start with fasting before you change your food to be able to get into that door in for losing weight.